What does your alternative mean to me? It's a promise. To me, it means smarter options for running my business. A focus that runs from the source of crop protection products to distribution and to the fields. As this business evolves, modern innovations drive bold new possibilities, new opportunities at every turn. In my view, smarter business practices have the power to improve the entire industry, to make the world a better place by growing healthier crops. But I can't do it alone. It takes a partner willing to make agriculture and business thrive. A partner like Alba. Its roots run close to my own, a company built from the ground up to change the game for its clients. Alba is a helping hand along this journey, a global company extending from the Americas to Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. Alba is the source for high-quality crop protection products and great service at competitive prices. But more so, Alba is a partner that gives me the tools and support that enable me to do more, meeting the challenges of today. I see a stronger future where we can grow together, a future that now appears more achievable, more sustainable every day, because I have a smarter path to grow my business. I see a brighter future because I have Alba, your alternative.
What is this legislation looking to really eliminate in terms of rodenticide use?
Well, at the state level, we have legislation AB 2552, and it is, I guess you could call it a build on to prior legislation. In prior versions, it eliminated the use of second generation as well as first generation in a previous bill, but it had an ag carve out to make sure that farmers could make sure that their warehouses and their farms themselves were protected from rodents. This bill would eliminate that ag carve out, as well as greatly expand the area that would be covered, that would be considered, part of that most at-risk areas, and redefine basically what an agriculture or what a wildlife area is to be open space as opposed to a designated wildlife area. The bill would also, for the first time, provide a private right of action, which means an individual could file a lawsuit against a farmer who's using a rodenticide, or an applicator who applies a rodenticide on behalf of either a rodent or a non-target species, not that there was a take that they were killed, but that they were harassed in some way. And so it greatly expands the area of private litigation in the use of rodenticides, and it will literally make it untenable for a farmer or an applicator to be able to use or apply a rodenticide in California.
Certainly. And that's obviously, that all seems quite severe. I'm curious how this sort of, proposal sort of aligns with what's already happening in California with something like the pesticide roadmap. Is that following a similar basis, or does this seem even more severe?
This is far more severe. At least in DPR's Sustainable Pest Management Roadmap, that there is, in theory, built in a thought process towards the decision of when a product should no longer be available. And there has to be a scientific finding involved. This is just making assumptions that it's jumping way ahead of the SPM roadmap and eliminating tools not based on any scientific data that demonstrates any kind of a risk.
Definitely. This seems to be kind of a recurring theme when we talk about eliminating chemicals in this state, is a lack of scientific data, or not valid scientific data even. It's interesting how that kind of just seems to be a recurring theme within this, Renee. I'm curious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really a challenge, and I think part of our frustration is coming out of COVID, where it was demonstrated that you needed to follow the guidance of scientific agencies to make sure that you're making sound decisions, that the legislature is jumping back into this mode of the legislature trying to legislate science instead of tasking their scientific agencies to be making decisions about science. And that's very unfortunate. And, the problems that we had perhaps with COVID where people were making decisions not based on science can be repeated again. And that is what we really want to avoid, is for non-scientific people to be making decisions about an extremely scientific process that takes place in the registration of these products.
The strategy's purpose is to protect some of these non-target species, which can be beneficial. It's a positive thing.
Mhm.
How does it ultimately compromise, though, the effectiveness of the tools that we can reliably use to control rodent populations?
Well, I think what we keep forgetting is we talk about integrated pest management, sustainable pest management, and all of those pest management toolboxes are a toolbox, and it has to have a range of tools available. And so you can't just have a partial toolbox. What we want is we want to have proactive, preventative systems in place, which is done through the education of applicators, the level of making sure that it's just the pests that are targeted is really quite substantial, that these applicators utilize. But in the end, if there is a pest that has been able to reach your food supply, that pest has to be eliminated. And that is where these rodenticides are very important. Again, they go through an extremely thorough registration process where they are including the potential impacts to non-target species as part of that evaluation process, to make sure that as much as you possibly can, that risk is eliminated. But in the end, the rodent has to be eliminated, or you are going to have a health risk to the farmer, to the food, to the warehouseman, and ultimately to the consumer.